Hey folks, Colin here from Sumthins Recording, and today I'm going to show you one trick for getting more energy out of your piano tracks. As always, here to start off, I will play you the finished mix as it stands, and I'll solo up the piano track so you can hear what it sounds like. And then we'll dive into the move that we are making to give this piano a little bit of extra push and pull inside the mix to give it that energy it needs to support our guitars and to support our vocals as well on top of it. So here is the finished mix as it stands. This is a Beatles cover.
Eyes and I'll kiss you. Tomorrow I'll miss you. Remember, I'll always be true. And then lies and I'll kiss you.
Obviously, there's no piano in the original Beatles track. This band had a keyboard player with them, so we put that keyboard in to support our guitars, support our vocals, and give the track a little bit more energy, a little bit more push and pull to it, instead of just having, the normal two guitars on your Beatles tracks. What we're doing here with our piano to give it a little bit more energy, to give it that push and pull and emphasize our attack, is we're adding a compressor. We're using one of my favorite compressors inside of Studio One, the FET comp, which is inside the FAT channel. This is the 1176 style emulation. Our attack here is at about 0.55, and our release is all the way up at 50 milliseconds. We have it on 4:1. We're just going to be doing about 3, maybe 5 dB of compression on just these big notes. So even if we look at our piano, if I zoom in a little bit, you can see we have the big peaks on our piano, which are those big hits lining up with our guitars. That's all we're looking to pull down a little bit and maybe emphasize our attack and give our piano a little bit more of that push and pull. And the way we're going to do that is by setting our compressor in time with our piano. Before we jump into the specifics here, let me play a before and after with this compressor so you can hear what it's actually doing. You can hear the effect of this element. So we'll start with, and then I'll pull it off there. I might have, pushed my mic up a little bit. Without the compressor in, our piano track feels a little bit flatter, a little bit duller. When we kick that compressor in, obviously those peaks don't jump out as much, but we have a little bit more attack on all of the piano, and it levels it out a little bit, so we have a little bit more energy all the way through, rather than just those peaks jumping out and maybe fighting with our guitars or overtaking and poking out in the track. Let me show you what this compressor is looking like here. You can see the amount of compression we're doing. Like I said, about 3 to 5 dB of compression here, depending on how big our peaks are, of course. And I want you to notice, pay attention to our needle here, pay attention to our gain reduction. Notice how it's moving in time with our piano. That is how we're getting that emphasis on our attack, because we're not squashing it. And that's how we're keeping consistent energy to make sure it breathes with our track, because it's moving in time. So watch our needle here on our gain reduction. So you see our needle's moving right in time with our piano. It's not, jumping back and forth. It's not too fast. It's not holding on too long. It's moving right in time, bopping with our piano, staying in time with our track as a whole. So our piano connects with everything, not just standing by itself. You'll also notice, again, I did a little bit of A-B there on our compressor. When it's off, our piano's pretty dull sounding, pretty flat sounding. Doesn't have that energy. It's pretty generic sounding. When we kick our compressor in, we get that little bit of extra boost in energy. We get that little bit of extra attack as our piano starts to bop a little bit more with the track. Next thing we're going to do here, I'm going to mess with these settings a little bit so you can see how important it is to have the compressor moving in time with your piano. So I'm going to hit play on this, and I'm going to pull our attack faster and faster and faster, and you can hear how as the compressor starts to speed up and get a little bit too fast, it starts to squash our piano. And then we're not getting an energy boost from this compressor. It's actually taking away energy from our instrument, from our piano, because it's getting squashed. You can hear as we got all the way up there, as we took the attack all the way fast, all the way to the right there, we kind of lose a lot of the tonal range that we want on the piano, that higher range that gives us that brilliance on the instrument, and it gets a little bit muddy sounding as it gets squashed and compressed down, because that's what we're hearing. That's the bigger part of the instrument, obviously, is the lower end, that low mid area. So that's kind of what we get left with. That's not what we want. And we want it to stay in time. We want the piano to have room to breathe and bounce with the track. So let me pull it back here. You'll hear as I pull the attack back and the compressor starts to sit in time with the piano, you'll hear we get that brilliance back up top, but we also start to feel the piano push and pull against the compressor, so it gets that little bit of extra attack, a little bit of extra energy, so it starts to bop with our track. So we'll start all the way fast here, and I'm going to start to pull it back, and you'll see our needle start to move in time, and you'll feel the piano start to push and pull in time with the compressor, which is going to give us that extra energy. Take a listen and watch our gain reduction meter there. You heard the brilliance come back. You felt the piano start to sit more in time and push and pull and vibe with the compressor rather than the compressor just completely annihilating our piano and squashing it. You can also see and feel as we go back to putting our compressor or putting our attack in time with the instrument, we're not squashing the track all the way across the board, right? We're just doing about 3 dB compression on our big peaks here. The rest of it, we may have a little bit in our intermediate area where we're doing maybe a dB and a half of compression, rather than you'll see when we do that attack all the way up, or as you saw when our attack was all the way fast, we were pretty much slamming our piano across the board, not moving in time, just crushing the instrument. That's not going to give us our energy. That's not giving us that brilliance that we want. One more time with and without this compressor, and you'll see especially with this compressor, let me add, this FET compressor is going to give us a little bit of that analog vibe, which is adding to our energy and brilliance. But you can get this with a regular compressor as well. The idea is to set your compressor in time with your instrument so it pushes and pulls and vibes with the track to emphasize those pieces and that little bopping that we're having with our piano. One more time, we'll start without, I'll kick it in, and then I'll unsolo, and you can feel it with the track. I'll mute the vocal though, so it's a little bit more obvious for you.
I'll miss you.
Pulled it up a little bit there at the end so you could hear the effect a little bit more dramatically on the piano. It's sitting back a little bit more, supporting the guitars, like I said, supporting our vocals and the rest of our instrumentation. Pulled it up a little bit there at the end so you could hear it. You'll notice when that compressor's off, you don't notice the piano as much. It's not tickling the ear, it's not bopping, it's not vibing with the track. When we kick that compressor in, our piano starts to jump out on those hits, on those beats, to vibe with our track and bounce with our guitars and our bass on this track. One quick trick to give your piano a little bit more energy. I hope that was helpful for you. Before you go, I do want to give you a free gift for sticking with me here till the end of the video. This is my 7-step mixing checklist. You can get it for free using the link in the description to download it. This will guide you through the entire mixing process, step by step, to get you professional, radio-ready mixes without the hassle and without the guesswork. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.